Welcome to The Explainer. So, look, we are undeniably living right in the middle of the AI era. I mean, we've got hyper-advanced tech, instant global communication, and literally all of human knowledge just sitting right there in our pockets. But despite all of this, we're still grappling with the exact same fundamental human conflicts that existed thousands of years ago. It makes you wonder, right? How do we actually achieve peace? Well, to answer that, we aren't looking at some Silicon Valley white paper today. No, instead, we're diving into a profound, centuries-old Buddhist text known as the Verañjaka Sutta. And as you'll see, it turns out this ancient text holds an incredibly precise, actionable ethical framework that might just be the absolute ultimate code for navigating our modern, hyper-connected world. Okay, let's dive into this and look at our roadmap. We'll start with the Verañjan question, move into the 3 bodily actions, then the 4 verbal actions, followed by the 3 mental actions, and we'll wrap it all up with the fruits of righteousness. This is going to break down exactly how human actions dictate our destiny. Section 1, the Verañjan's question, and the real stakes of destiny. So, let's set the scene. The Buddha is staying at Jitta Grove, and this group of curious, wealthy Brahmins from Verañja arrive. They've heard of his unparalleled wisdom, and they are ready to ask the absolute ultimate question. They ask him, what causes beings to go to hell, and what causes them to go to heaven? Think about that. This is the burning question, right? They were basically asking for the fundamental laws of moral physics, like what exact conditions dictate where we end up after the body breaks up. Now, the Buddha initially gives them a pretty simple, high-level answer. He explains that unrighteous conduct leads to ruin and bad destinations, while righteous, orderly conduct leads to heaven. But you know what? The Brahmins just aren't satisfied with a quick summary. They literally begged the Buddha for a specific, detailed breakdown, and he agrees, asking them to listen closely to what we are now going to explore side by side. Which brings us to Section 2, the 3 bodily actions. And we have to be a little cautionary here, because we're looking closely at the physical actions that directly dictate our karma. Our physical actions are really the most visible manifestations of what's going on inside us. The first unwholesome path is the destruction of life. The text describes this vividly as being cruel, bloody-handed, and totally lacking mercy or shame toward living beings. But the wholesome alternative, it isn't just about not killing. It's an active state of compassion. It's laying down weapons and actively wishing for the welfare and benefit of all living things. And this brilliantly illustrates the next 2 physical actions. First, taking what isn't given, stealing someone else's wealth or property. And then, sexual misconduct, violating those protected by guardians. Contrasted with this is the righteous path of strict ethical restraint, living honestly, never taking what belongs to others, and fundamentally respecting the people around you. Section 3, the 4 verbal actions. Now, as we transition to the power of speech, I really want you to think about how these ancient rules apply to our modern digital communication today. The Buddha identified 4 extremely unwholesome verbal paths. Lying, even when you know the truth. Divisive speech, which is just creating discord. Harsh speech, being abusive and fault-finding. And frivolous chatter, useless, unseasonal, baseless talk. It is wild how easily these destroy harmony, and honestly, looking at this list, it essentially describes the absolute worst parts of social media today. But the contrast here is amazing. The wholesome path is beautifully proactive. Instead of lying, you speak the truth in assemblies. Instead of dividing people, you reunite those who are divided. Instead of harshness, you use gentle words. And instead of frivolous chatter, you speak words that are actually useful and grounded in reason. Imagine if our algorithms were optimized for that kind of communication. Let's look at Section 4, the 3 mental actions. Because ultimately, physical and verbal actions don't just happen in a vacuum. They stem directly from the mind. This is where the root of destiny truly lies. The first 2 mental actions deal with our desires. An unwholesome mind harbors covetousness, intensely wanting others' wealth, and ill will, wishing for others to be destroyed. The righteous path flips this entirely. It's about being content and silently cultivating a deep goodwill, wishing for all beings to be happy and free from enmity. And then we get to the final unwholesome mental action, called wrong view, and this is perhaps the most dangerous one of all. Wrong view is the cynical belief that actions have no consequences, that giving has no results, and that there is no true spiritual realization. It's incredibly dangerous because it completely removes all ethical boundaries. I mean, if you believe nothing matters, you're capable of anything. The antidote, of course, is right view. Right view is the grounded, profound understanding that cause and effect are entirely real. It's the conviction that giving and living ethically bear fruit, and that enlightened teachers absolutely do exist. This mindset perfectly aligns a person with the actual mechanics of positive karma. Section 5. The fruits of righteousness. Okay, let's move to and see how this builds, because we're going to explore the massive, incredible rewards of mastering these 10 wholesome paths. Having outlined these paths of conduct, the Sutta maps out a literal ladder of ascension based on ethical purity. First, a righteous person can be reborn into the highest levels of human society as a wealthy noble. But it goes higher, ascending into incredibly blissful heavenly deva realms like Tavatimsa or Tusita. And a highly refined mind can even reach the luminous Brahma realms or vast abstract formless realities. It's a cosmic timeline driven entirely by our actions. But the Buddha points to the ultimate peak, way beyond all those celestial heavens. The absolute highest fruit of righteousness is to destroy the mental taints, to attain complete liberation of mind and wisdom. That is nirvana. Realizing it for yourself in this very life, here and now, and breaking the cycle entirely. When the Buddha finishes detailing this incredible map, the Brahmins are completely awestruck. They praise his clarity with this beautiful metaphor, saying it's like turning upright what was overturned, revealing what was hidden, or lighting a lamp in the dark. And it all concludes with these awestruck Brahmins taking refuge for the rest of their lives in the triple gem, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Which brings us right back to where we started in this explainer. We're in an era where we are desperately trying to align artificial intelligence with human values, all while struggling to align ourselves. The Verañjaka Sutta proves these rules aren't new. So I'll leave you with this. If we trained AI and ourselves to truly master these ancient rules of body, speech, and mind, could we finally decode world peace? The universal law of cause and effect is clear. The choice, as always, is ours. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.